I'm going to piss 50% of all of you off, but just hear me out. Recently, I posted this meme on Twitter and the community tab, and it is talking about the best arc, in my opinion, from DBZ, and the best arc, in my opinion, in DBS. And there's been a lot of discussion and controversy with this meme, and people are asking me how I got to this conclusion. And I wanted to ask you, which arc do you think is the best from DBZ, and which one do you think is the best from Dragon Ball Super? Let me know in the comment section below. Let your voice be heard. And I have another much harder question for you later in the video that you guys simply are going to go to war for. So trust me, you're going to want to stick around. So I truly believe that the Frieza arc and the Moro arc are the best arcs in their respective series, and I really don't think that there is much of a discussion when it comes to the legitimacy of this statement when you look at both of these series. In Dragon Ball Z, you have the Saiyan arc, then you have the Frieza arc very early on, followed by Cell, which a lot of you guys, even yours truly included, would say is one of the most goated arcs in all of anime. Then I would include the androids as well, plus like future Trunks stuff, and then you have Majin Buu. That's basically it when it comes to DBZ. When you look at Dragon Ball Super, you get Battle of Gods, you get Universe 6, Goku Black, Tournament of Power, Moro, Granola, Superhero, and that's not counting all the filler that there is in the anime. I'm talking about legitimate, real arcs that even the manga had to follow. I may not be including Broly because Broly technically is not an arc, it's basically a movie, but you could just throw it in there as a mini arc if you would like. If you take everything in Dragon Ball Z and everything in Dragon Ball Super, the best arcs become very, very clear. The Saiyan arc is very well respected, it's very interesting, it's how we get Raditz, Vegeta, Goku and Piccolo's friendship. That's how we get a lot of this good stuff, but it is very early on in Dragon Ball, and the fervor for Dragon Ball and a lot of the things that come later really aren't established here. It's just really early on. It is just the breadcrumbs to an amazing Texas toast. It is just the beginning. Then you have the Cell arc and the Android arc, which to me is severely goated, one of the best arcs in all of anime. But when you really look at it, it is a continuation of some of the best things that were cemented in the arc previous. Because if you take the Cell arc versus the Frieza arc, I mean, it's a no-brainer. The Frieza arc is the best one. Now, Majin Buu adds a few more things. It is interesting, but it is very flawed. Toward the end, it just has a lot of issues. When you go to Dragon Ball Super, Battle of Gods is very interesting, but I would tell you that the manga and the anime, those two interpretations of that arc, they're done better in the DBZ Battle of Gods movie. That movie is way better than the anime and the manga's covering of those arcs. So even then, there's just too much mixed quality in there, and there's a lot of really bad animation early on in the Battle of Gods. You get to Universe 6, we do get hit, we get more of the gods, and it is really, really good. This is when we're getting to really good stuff. Even ends on a really good note. I would say the Universe 6 arc really is one of the better, more consistently entertaining arcs, and it just has a lot of polish to it. We get the Goku Black, and I really want to put this really high, but I can't. And I did when they first came out. I mean, my whole thing has been Goku Black for years now, but when you look at it face value, the Goku Black arc is a huge mess from the beginning to the end. So much so that the manga and the anime have two drastically different interpretations of what that arc is supposed to look like. And so with the different qualities and just the messy resolution at the end and showing a lot of the problems that we get in Dragon Ball Super toward the end of that arc, it's just not that good. Tournament of Power, there's a lot of filler. It is very long and is really only good when Goku jumps into the scene and is facing off against either Kefla, Jiren, basically it. That's maybe you want to throw the Topo fight with Vegeta in there, but besides that and the ending, it's just a battle royale. That's all there is. There's nothing more. And at the very end, it is very, very disappointing, where everything just kind of gets washed. Like, there was really no stakes, and it has a very disappointing ending. That's the problem with a lot of these. There are very disappointing endings. This honestly is a running trend when you look at Toriyama and his team when they're making Dragon Ball Z arcs. Like, a lot of them have very, very, very disappointing endings, and there are very few that have very, very good endings. Like, the Cell arc is one of the few exceptions, in my opinion, has a very solid ending. When we go into the Granola arc, very messy throughout the entire run, and even the basis of wishing to be stronger or the strongest is flimsy at best. And Superhero is an entertaining movie, but a very, very boring arc in and of itself. So those are the ones that didn't make the cut. So to me, the reason that the Frieza arc is the best in DBZ is because you get everything that is built upon afterward in the Frieza arc. We get, obviously, Frieza. We get Goku saving the day, coming with a new power-up. We get Vegeta trying to help our heroes and trying to be a good guy. We get the fusion between Nail and Piccolo, so the beginning of fusion. We get, obviously, Goku versus Frieza, one of the most legendary battles in all of anime, and I would say is the legendary battle in all of anime. And of course, the Super Saiyan transformation, the house which Dragon Ball is built upon. And that's no questions right there. The rest of Dragon Ball is history once Super Saiyan enters the chat. There really isn't any issues with the Frieza arc whatsoever, except for maybe the fact that Frieza survives at the end. Again, a messy ending with Frieza surviving, Goku, we don't know if he's dead or not at the end, and everybody living on planet Earth kumbayaing, and Vegeta, you know, off screen falling in love with Bulma, which is something that we'd like to see not off screen. But that leads us to Trunks killing Frieza and being a badass in the beginning of the Cell arc. So I think it's a better ending than most of the DBZ arcs. And when we get to the Moro arc, oh my god, is the Moro arc goated in the DBS space. This arc is a love letter to every positive influence and every positive thing that has ever come out of Dragon Ball. It is literally jam-packed with everything that you could say, yeah, that is Dragon Ball. You have the exploration of fusion even more. You have the exploration of absorption even more with the Moro character. We get a character like Moro who's more about magic and more about stealing things than fighting, which is the huge contrast that Goku usually goes up against when it comes to these Dragon Ball Z fights. Then you have Goku trying to master Ultra Instinct, only to master it, which we thought at the time, to master it and become a kaiju. You get Vegeta going off on his own, fighting his own inner power and being relevant to the story again. You have all the Z fighters coming together, facing off against the criminal syndicate that landed on Earth, including Moro's gang. You have so many different elements of all things Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, including angels. You have an angel that's living on Earth as almost like a mortal, which is something that a lot of people had wanted to see, like more further exploration in the angel culture. You get so many different things, a lot of fun interactions, and just really awesome fights between Moro and several other characters. Not only that, there's so many references to DBZ's Frieza arc and Cell arc in the Moro arc. Like, I could list them all day. I would, but I'm not, but I could. There's so many different ones. Even the meme shows it. So there is just so much similarities between the Moro arc and every other arc in DBZ and DBS, to the point where it's not blatantly thrown into your face like they're running out of ideas. It's more of a love letter to Dragon Ball, and that is why it is the best arc in DBS. There is no contender. There really isn't. And they even throw Oob in there. They throw Oob in there, teasing the future of Dragon Ball. Like, the only issue that I had in the Moro arc is the fact that Maris survived and was able to come back, because that further leads into the problems from back in the Goku Black arc, where there really is no consequences because of angelic shenanigans, basically. I mean, of course, it's Dragon Ball. The consequences are lower because there's always Dragon Balls. But, you know, Dragon Ball Super took it to another level, in my opinion. So I think the Moro arc really has a lot to it, and it's just one of the best arcs in all of Dragon Ball, and definitely the best arc in Dragon Ball Super. With that being said, I have a further follow-up question. For those of you guys who stayed to this point of the video, you guys are severely goated. I appreciate you guys because you guys know the value of a good video and the value of a good question, because this question I posted a community tab poll for. Go ahead and check it out, guys, so you can vote there. But also let me know here, which is better, the Frieza arc or the Moro arc? Let me know in the comment section below. And honestly, I'm gonna give you guys my answer here, and if I have to be wholeheartedly honest, guys, I believe that the Moro arc wins in this regard. It is slightly better than the Frieza arc, and I can already see the pitchforks, guys. I told you I was going to make 50% of you guys pissed off in this video, but the reason I say this is because a lot of nostalgia is coloring my eyes when it comes to the Frieza arc. It's the arc that got me into Dragon Ball, and so removing that is really hard. I did it. It is very hard, and once I removed it, I realized it is an amazing beginning to Dragon Ball as the series we know of today. It is just an amazing beginning, but it is the beginning. And when you look at the Moro arc, there's just so much stuff that's so well done in this arc. So many good things happened. It is just so amazing in that regard that it's impossible to say fairly that it is less than the Frieza arc, because the Frieza arc is a build up to that fight with Goku and Frieza. That's the entire arc, basically. It's that. The Moro arc is kind of that, but more the celebration of all things Dragon Ball and all things that came after the Frieza arc, basically, and the Frieza arc included. And so with that being said, I just have to give it to the Moro arc. It's just slightly better in my opinion. And I can't let nostalgia color my eyes and say that the Frieza arc is better than it. But regardless, it's not much of a, it's not that much more of a change in quality. I think that they're like neck and neck, and Moro is just kind of beating it a little bit because of everything it adds to the story. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I told you this is going to be a crazy one. Let's go ahead and battle out in the comments.
Subscribe for more content. Or perish.